y'all?
It's been a long time.
Fellas Forum COVID-19 Inside Edition. We missing Mike. He might be asleep or something. I don't know. That dude.
Watch him join halfway through is what's going to happen.
I know. We gonna.
And then he's going to want us to go back.
In timeout. Ain't no telling what that dude doing. He might be on the game. Delta, how you been, bro?
He's not even listening.
Grew to the music. He don't even hear me.
I'm going to have to pause it if he's going to be talking.
Delta.
What's up, fella?
TJ.
Delta.
TJ.
What up, Soup?
Hey, man, I'm talking to you. You just like.
He's just jamming. Was the music too loud? Man.
No, it was good. Hey, man, how you been?
I've been good, bro. What about y'all?
Reese, you
Been
good?
good. I've been good.
T Wizzle,
Man, blessed, man.
JQ, how you been?
Busy. Very busy, but I'm happy to be doing this again. It's been way too long.
Yeah,
Way
man,
too
we,
long.
Yep, way too long.
we trying to, stay safe out here and not do nothing too crazy. A lot of us had a lot of new additions into life. JQ, had a couple of
Yeah.
new additions
JQ,
into
got
life.
the new one.
We
I
got
locked
our new baby girl, Vivian. She was born back in
Vivian.
November. And,
Right.
so she's actually
That's
7
when
months
JQ
now.
went on maternity leave.
Yeah, that's when
Yeah.
That's when I went into my
Yeah.
quarantine, and
Right.
yeah, but it's been like 7 months since we did this, so it's been a long time.
Dang. It's been that
It's
long?
been that long?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been like
Wow.
it's been way too long.
it's been like 3 different series of something on Netflix.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, whole new season. every time.
So we was expecting to have Mike on here too. I don't know where he at. He might have
He fell asleep.
got stuck or something. T Will just blacked out his screen. Oh, did we lose him?
No.
We might have lost T Will. All right. As y'all know, it's been a lot going on in these past 7 months. So much so it's like we can't get it all in one episode for sure. But the pandemic was really like I actually listen to a lot of radio news because I drive a lot, and one of the guys have been talking about this pandemic thing over in China since November. He'd been talking about it for a long time, so I was kind of listening to it, but paying attention, but not really paying attention. And when it started kind of getting a little more serious, I'm like, oh man, this might turn into something. And Washington got hit. Then was it New York? No,
It was
Seattle.
it was Washington and New York. I remember that
yeah, Washington, then
because
New York.
I have people that I know in Washington, and they were talking about how crazy it was, and I was thinking, oh, thank God that's not like a hit here. And then New York got hit, and then you kind of knew we were going to get
it was
hit
coming.
anyways.
It was coming. So
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I've been still able to work because of what I do. I'm pretty isolated in my job, so it hasn't really totally affected me. And staying in hotels, the hotels are like there's nobody in them. There's like when it was hot and heavy in Missouri, they had like they was doing like every other floor and every other room and a lot of different things like that. So it was pretty different. Like eating out was a challenge for sure because like a lot of people were doing just they were doing just like call in
Yeah.
only, so you couldn't go everywhere to eat. So I mean it's kind of challenging. I know like a lot of the a couple guys that stay at places I stay at regularly, they was truck drivers. They were like, man, they closing rest stops and all kinds of stuff. So I mean it's a lot of things that definitely affected me, but not too bad. Like I said, I was kind of fortunate. My job, I'm pretty isolated. It's just me and one other guy, and then I was with the same guy working throughout most of that pandemic for like 3 months. It was just me and him. So JQ, how's that affected you?
Well, and when it really started getting crazy, they just made everyone work from home, which was a bit challenging because I bought a house at the beginning of the pandemic, moved into that, and all I had was satellite internet. and
Oh,
I'm not gonna be a spokesperson for it. I can't do it. I just
Trash.
got rid of it last Friday, which is why we're able to do this. And but other than that, I mean, just being home all the time. I think it hurt my wife's work more than mine. Mine, the workload was crazy because I was still having to work from home, and then as soon as I was able to go back into the office, they had me going to the office. But my wife, who has a school, she a lot of her students got pulled by the parents because they run a preschool, so their income just was almost immediately gone. So they actually had to file for unemployment for small business. So that actually was a lifesaver for us.
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was huge. And luckily, everyone in my family, and even a lot of my friends, they've all managed to financially be okay through this whole thing. But I know not everyone's been that lucky.
Yeah. I think most of us pretty much are all essential workers. TJ?
Yeah, pretty much, man. To go off what Joe said, I think I'm all right. We what I do as a police officer, our job was just to maintain the public safety. But overall, my job hasn't changed. I'm still out patrolling. Even though this COVID-19 happened, bad guys still out there doing bad shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Reese, you in the supply and demand industry, so I know this has probably been a little bit of a change for you too.
I mean, that must have been crazy.
Yeah, well, my situation is a little bit different, but for me, nothing has changed. It's work as usual. I'm just working basically an extra 10, 15 hours of overtime every week. As my partner that I work with, he tore his Achilles tendon, so he's been out for the last 2 months. He probably won't be back till maybe September. But
Dang,
as
that's
far
rough.
as the
He tore his
household,
Achilles?
That's
he
that's
tore
a
his
nasty injury, man. That really sucks.
70% tear, and
Dang.
with the whole COVID thing going on, the hospital space is limited. So basically, I would assume he could have been done with the whole situation. I mean, not, but they basically taking his situation month by month. But as far as like the family situation, like my wife, she's been working from home and she's been stuck at home with the kids, so she's not loving this. She's not loving it at all. But,
yeah, that is something.
But me,
Oof.
I can get in and get out and do what I have to do, and I'm not 100% stuck at home with the kids.
So what's the?
I think they were just spying on you in the background.
What's the situation like with with working where you work and because you're like in the supply industry side of it, so
Right. So
was it pretty crazy at first?
Yeah, it was. At first, the back rooms, that first month and a half, the back rooms were completely wiped. We couldn't keep anything in the back rooms. The back rooms are typically stocked to capacity, but we couldn't keep anything in stock. I mean, if all canned goods, all water, just basically your essentials, toilet paper and
Yeah, that's say
sanitizer,
toilet
those
paper.
things.
We knew that was going
I don't
on.
know what I think.
Yeah.
People thought coronavirus could be cured by wiping your ass because toilet paper was just gone.
Man,
I
Flying
didn't
off
understand.
the shelf.
Corona, man,
crazy.
that I didn't really like we have, like, as far as your name brand hand sanitizers, those are far and few. As soon as you get those in, they're gone. So now you got this nasty smelling crap. I mean, it's effective, but it stinks like hell, and that's what we're stuck with right about now. But if you look at how many companies actually profited from this situation, like the toilet paper companies and the sanitizer companies, and
Lot.
man,
Preacher Reese
I
about
can
to come
just
out.
keep going on and on and on. Hey,
Preacher Reese about to come out.
Man,
Wow.
hey, I can just keep going on and on.
T
and
Will,
on.
you kind of on the back side of this. We're not going to divulge what you do, but I mean, you on the back side of this, and you can kind of see another side of that we don't see, and
Right.
have a little more info.
Yeah, well, my job is essential. I'm part of the healthcare field, so I'm behind the scenes of the hospitals and the doctors and the nurses, and it's been pretty crazy, I must say. But luckily, what we do as far as computer-based things is we get to work from home. The COVID stuff hit, we immediately had all of our nurses in the office start working from home. I think I was the only one in the office for a while, and then they started trickling in the higher up bosses. But only in my office, I think we have like maybe 30 to 35 people. I think when the COVID hit, we went down to maybe like four to five, maybe.
Are you guys gonna do anything with the contact tracing? Because I know that's like a big thing that a lot of the bigger cities are doing. They're actually hiring
I think
people
that's like a
to-
separate like
But
department.
they're hiring people to basically do the contact tracing. So, like they say, well, you've been in contact with somebody who's had it. We
Yeah,
can't tell you who, but yada yada yada.
I
Are y'all
think
doing
that's
anything
more.
with that?
Well, our side of it, no, we're not doing anything as far as that goes. We pretty much trace the hospital stays and all of the number counting and things of that nature, but we don't trace the patients back as far as their history goes and where they've been and things. That's probably something they have that's like subcontract out or something.
Yeah, I
That's
think like a
something totally
task
different.
force, something
Yeah,
like that.
that'd be something totally different. But yeah, we see the cases numbers, they just steady going up. I mean, around here, anywhere in Missouri, it's just going up, man. It's crazy. The stories that some of the nurses tell some of the other nurses, it's kind of scary, when you hear it from them. But for the most part, man, I'm still working. I'm blessed to work. My wife's still working. She works for the state, and she's still working from home. So my life has not really changed too much. Like Reese said, she's home more, but she's still working. So that's a blessing.
That's cool.
Does anybody know anybody who's gotten COVID already?
I know one guy.
I knew, like, my girl dentist died here in Jeff City for the COVID-19.
Yeah,
Oh,
I heard about
okay.
that.
I know who you're talking
Yeah.
about because I have some friends and coworkers whose kids went to that same dentist.
Yep.
Yeah, and matter of fact,
One
I
of
met him before.
One of the former LUPD, he got it, and he was bad. They thought he wasn't gonna make it, but he actually pulled through. So
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I know who you're talking about, Sue.
yeah, that was the only person that I knew. And like I said, we at my job, I think there was one guy that got quarantined because somebody came on a job that had it, and as far as I know, he didn't contract anything, but he self quarantined for 14 days. And I actually just came out of quarantine last week, as a matter of fact. Yeah. So,
you know what's so funny about that? A lot of people are so asymptomatic. You might not have
You can't
any symptoms.
yeah.
I
None.
think the only symptom they can actually rely off of, at least the guidance that we've been given at our office,
Fevers.
is your fever. If
That's
you
it.
and you got to check the fever, and that's it. And so like, if we walk into the office and we have a fever, or not fever, but a temperature of 97, whatever, then they're like, okay, you're fine, but we have to wear a mask until we get in there. And if anyone else comes into the office, we all have to wear a mask anyways. But for the rest of the day, we're all breathing each other's air no matter what. It doesn't matter if you're wearing a mask all day.
Right.
There's been a lot of talk about the mask and not the mask and all that stuff, but to me, it's kind of you gotta be smart. If you're not gonna be able to keep your distance from somebody like TJ just did, then you probably need to wear the mask. If you can keep your distance and things like that, and you somewhere where you got a good airflow and things like that, because sometimes when you ain't got that airflow, if y'all knew how much I was getting into this stuff, y'all be like, man, you need to just take a break. But like there was a lady who was like an aerospace technologist or something like that, and she was talking about airflow and
how far it
particles
goes.
stay in the air, and if your body's going through it, it'll move it out the way. And I mean, like I
They
just
said
wanna know,
6 feet. They said 6 feet is the safe distance. I'm like, bull crap.
Well, they said 6, then they said 12, then they said 6 is good, and they said wear the mask. They said don't wear the mask. They
Well,
said
I think they realized that people are not going to stay 6 or 12 feet away from each other. And they're like 6 feet is the best we can do. You know?
I'm good with 12 feet because, like I said, when I get in the building, I close the door behind me and nobody sees me. I'm like, hey, y'all. peace out.
We
Hey,
had
TJ. Hey, do you have to, in your profession, do you guys have to wear a mask when you encounter things or go in buildings or do anything? Are you required to wear them, or is that you just do it at your discretion?
You do it at your discretion. But me, does anybody know me? When I'm on patrol, I'm always got on the mask.
Yeah, you got that Mortal Kombat mask. You're good.
Yeah. I don't trust nobody.
Finish him.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
and they did provide us masks, so we have them. We have N95 masks. I've always had N95 masks because we use them for, we're grinding or whatever. So I have them, and I do wear them. If I have to go to a job that I haven't been to, I wear the mask. I mean, I'm just like, until I get to my little spot where I ain't got to be around them, I wear the mask because I see enough nasty people without COVID-19.
you got a very solid point.
I'll tell you what. People are like you just said. People are nasty with or without it, man. Just where I work, and just going to the bathroom, you see so many people that don't wash their hands. Go in there and do what they got to do, get up from the stall.
That's a great point.
I mean,
why does it take a pandemic for everyone to finally decide to wash their hands?
Wash your damn
hands. No.
Why is it that you can find soap and you can't find hand sanitizer?
No, I couldn't find soap. I mean, for the first month, I was like digging for soap. I had to buy dish soap just so we could wash our hands. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
It was horrible.
Hey, but it works. It works.
Yeah.
But you know what? I got a public service announcement. When you get done with the bathroom, flush the toilet. You don't get extra credit for showing your work.
No.
You don't.
No. When you
Wash
use
your
the
damn
bathroom,
hands.
clean up after yourself.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
clean up after yourself.
Stop
come in
throwing
there
the wipe
and
toilet paper
see
on the floor.
your pee on the toilet or your right. Okay,
Yeah.
we understand you know how to hover, but clean that mess up. Nobody want to sit behind that.
That's terrible.
You know what I mean.
So I did kind of want to touch on one thing because we have one friend. Actually, she's more of a friend of my wife's, and
Friend of a friend.
yeah, well, she's my friend's, my wife's friend. I don't know her as well, but she works at a business, and the business was when they got the reopen, guidance. They followed the guidance, and they were wearing masks and gloves, and they were social distancing, limiting how many people were coming into the business, so on and so forth. But her mother had gotten the COVID, and she stayed away from her mother during the 14-day quarantine. Well, after her mom was better, she went and visited her mother. And after she left her mother, she started checking her temperature regularly, obviously, because she was doing it anyways. Mm-hmm. And then she found out that she had the fever, went and got tested positive. So there's a couple things that happened with this. One, her mom was out of quarantine, and she still got her daughter sick. So that's one thing I thought was really interesting. And then the second was, after that, the fact that she tested positive actually made the news. And then people on social media were like shaming her because she had gone to work one day, and that day was the day she found out she was positive. But they were still following all the guidelines that they could, and she was doing the best of her knowledge.
Did she have symptoms at all?
No, she didn't. In fact, her case was extremely mild, but she was still a carrier. She just didn't know when she was.
She didn't know.
But she was testing everything that she could. But I think it's like unfair that our community is suddenly is like, they find someone who is not well, and they've tried to make all the right decisions, and they don't get all the information, and they immediately attack that person. And I feel like that's kind of unfair.
That's a good segue to our next topic here. As you all know, there's been some drama with the police department and killing of George Floyd, which was very senseless. There's been other I can't think of the young lady's name.
Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor.
Yeah,
There's a whole list.
Yeah, sadly, there is a whole list. I myself was in law enforcement. TJ is still currently in law enforcement. And I'm going to tell you right now that I trained cops. I was a taser instructor. I was a SWAT team member. We didn't choke people like that. We didn't do no shit like that. That shit don't happen. Have I ever taken somebody down by their head to get control of them? Yes. Did I keep them that way for more than the necessary time to get them in handcuffs? Absolutely not.
8
When I got
minutes.
people in handcuffs, I put them in the car and I was done with business. And I still think that proper vetting is 100% necessary. And that was one of the things that I got to do as a supervisor in my department. I was part of the vetting process. And if they was no good, I told it like it was. I wrote a report. Hey, this dude ain't got the right temperament or the right demeanor to be a police officer.
So is that what you look
Now,
for when you
hang
vet
on.
them? Is
Let me finish
demeanor
my
or
thought.
temperament?
Huh?
Well, go back to finish your thought first.
But I don't get the final say because there's people above me that could say, Soup's just being a little tough on him. We're gonna put him out there for another few weeks with somebody else, and then that somebody else might be like, man, I don't want this dude in my car. Hey, yeah, you good. Go ahead. But you putting
You know
somebody on
why?
the street that don't need to be out there.
You know why, Sue? You know why?
I know
Need
why.
the bodies. Need the bodies.
Exactly. Because the police profession is not well paid.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't get a whole lot of respect, especially when you wearing this skin we wearing. Y'all hear me? I want y'all to understand that black cops don't get no respect. I'm gonna say that again for the cheap seats. Black cops don't get no respect from their own people. I can tell you a lot of incidences. I worked in a predominantly white area. I had the utmost respect from most of the white community that I would have never thought I got. But I'd probably say, sadly, 60% of my encounters with black folks was negative. Not because I treated them bad, not because I did anything wrong, just because I was a sellout, I was this, I was that, I was this. What? I mean, come on. You say you want your own in there, then when we get in there, you had those problems. TJ, can you speak on that?
Yes. I'm a recruiter for my department, and dude, it is so hard. It is so hard to recruit black people to law enforcement, especially here in Central Missouri. But to speak on your incident, I had one similar to that, and I told you about this, so we talk all the time about that. I was in Subway, and it's a group of black kids in Subway, and I'm standing in line, made my order, and one of the black kids walked behind me and like sneezed on the back of my neck, right?
Was
and
this
his friend thought it was funny.
this after COVID?
It was before COVID.
Oh, okay. Let's say, 'cause
We
that's
tested
like
2 years
that's like an
ago.
arrestable offense right
You better
now.
get tested, man.
Yeah.
If it happened during COVID, he would have got choked out.
Right.
No, TJ, no.
You're not supposed to say that.
George Floyd choked out, but you know,
Right.
So when that happened, I kindly started. I turned it into a teachable moment. So he goes over there and sit down. I walked over there to the table. It was a group of 4 of them, and I explained to him what he did was wrong, and then I advised him, and I said that if I was a white cop, you wouldn't even look me in my eye. You would have kept going. But since the color of my skin, you thought it was okay to play with me, and I advised him, look, I'm not your father. I'm not your dad. If you want somebody to go play with, I advise you go play with them. Playing with me is the wrong idea, and it will lead to nothing but trouble. And we talked about other stuff, that how you can go by improving yourself. And before I left, they were like, thank you, officer. And, you know, of course, he didn't say nothing because he was embarrassed. But you're right. So there was one incident. The second incident, it was this black guy. And y'all know this guy. I think Tupin, I know Mike know him because that was his friend. He drive a green SUV like on 24s.
Yeah, I had a run in with him too.
This idiot was backing up the street. He went the wrong way and he was backing up the road. So I saw him. I didn't cut my license none on. I just put him aside. Like, hey, bro, you can't go up the street. You can't back up the road like this. And he just gave me that like that look. That look. If you grew up in the hood, you know that look. Like
You want to do something to me?
Yeah, like you want to do something to me. And I'm saying, you understand what I'm saying to you? He ain't saying nothing. I said, well, I'm gonna take it if you understand me, and you got like 10 seconds to fix yourself, fix your face, and fix your car, or I'm pulling you over. Then he like, all right, then mother. And I'm like, okay, as long as you do what I say, you can call me whatever you want to. As long as you in 10 seconds you fix yourself, I'm good. So he did it probably like in 7 seconds.
Sleep.
So this actually brings up a topic that I guess I've never thought of, and I find that this happens a lot recently, unfortunately. But the fact that even if you're a black police officer, you're not getting respect from the people. I mean, you're probably not getting respect from possibly even white people. Well, probably even white people, considering the area we're at. And then you have your own people that are like, they feel like they can mess with you more than they can a white person.
That really wasn't my experience. I mean, of course, there's always going to be knuckleheads out there.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, my area that I worked in was rural. It was very rural.
Yeah.
And I came across knuckleheads, and
You're
we
losing me a
came
little bit
to
there. Can you say that again?
we came to a. I said I did come across some knuckleheads, but we came to a mutual understanding real quick that I'm not here to be somebody for you to belittle or any of that. I got called here. I came here because you had a problem. I'm here to fix it. We can fix the problem, or I can leave. I really don't. I'm not gonna sit here and have some personal battle with you about you don't want me to tell you what to do because I'm a certain color. That's your problem. It's not mine, and I'm not gonna deal with it.
So let me chime in.
I mean,
real
that's
quick.
how.
Hey, Reese.
Yeah.
Before you chime in, let me clarify something because I know something, and I don't want people to mistake my words. When I was saying,
Right.
when I talk about choked out, I wasn't talking about keeping my knee on a person's neck until you can't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about arresting that person. And law enforcement, they know what choke got me, and it's not what that idiot did to George Floyd. So just to clarify that, I'm not talking about physically hurting a person or injuring a person or even killing a person. I'm talking about apprehending that person and restraining that person.
Okay.
Right.
That's probably a good thing to clarify.
We understand that. Yeah, we understand that, but I'm glad you clarified that, TJ.
Yeah, I just for the viewers, they understand.
That's good.
So you said you either chime in, Reese. What you had to say?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll say this. Okay. So why is the reason you think that is? So I'm gonna throw you a couple of examples from me growing up, and majority of us grew up in not the same area, but the same type of lifestyle. I would neighborhoods. Yeah, same type of neighborhood. So for me, I grew up with black cops and white cops, right? And patrolling the neighborhood. And I had the opposite effect. The majority of the white cops in downtown St. Louis is where I'm from. Majority of the white cops so I'm gonna give you a couple examples. So majority of the time, if we got pulled over, it was about 4 or 5 of us. We about 13, 14, going to the movies, going to 7-Eleven, coming home, whatever, right? And we would get pulled over and they would say, you guys fit the description. And, and we're just kids, just having fun. Get on your knees, put your hand behind your back, all that stuff. And another incident that, that probably really, before meeting TJ, before meeting Brian, before meeting Eric, you guys really changed my mind on how to, in a way of thinking about law enforcement. because and still to this day, if a cop gets behind me, my heart starts racing because I think something could go wrong. But this other incident I'm gonna tell you about. So just getting off the school bus, I got my backpack. I'm walking home. I'm close to my house, and I get pulled over by an undercover cop. So this is a white guy, undercover cop, and he basically goes, "So you're one of those drug dealers, right?" I'm like, "No, I just got off the school bus." He's like, "No, I need to check you out, see if you have any drugs on you." And I'm like, "Oh, whatever. I've been through this before, but not to this extent." So this cop, he dumps my backpack out. He passed me down. Then he goes, "Pull your pants down." And I'm hesitant. I'm like, "What do you mean, pull your pants down?"
Mm.
So I oblige. I pull my pants down. Like I said, I've been through this before. Pull your pants down. Pull your underwear down. Lift up your nut sacks. Step out of your shoes. Lift up your nut sack. Open your butt cheek. Cough. Make sure that you don't have any drugs on you. So and that incident right there, and we've been called gorillas before. We've been called monkeys before by officers on both sides. So, but like I said, meeting you all, Clemens and Sue and TJ, you all have changed my mind, and then but you guys are close to me now, like all these officers and all the things that we're seeing on television and internet and all that stuff, it kind of puts me back in that mindset. But I know there's good people out here. I know there's good officers
Good
out
cop.
here.
Yeah.
So
Well, I understand what you're saying, Reese, and I know where you grew up. I grew up not too far from you, and I know the type of mentality that was going on then. And this is not an excuse for what they were doing.
Oh, we just lost Brian.
So, I
Say
can tell you
do it again.
that during that time, the GD Black gangsters and all these guys were starting to get bigger. Also, they were developing all these task force for policing, and just basically we was the target. 5'8"
Right.
medium bill was the target, and you just harassed them, and they had a free pass to do it, and it was terrible.
Yeah,
I got beat up. I got beat up by a cop for no reason. I was on my way home. For curfew. He just didn't like me. But I totally get where you're coming from. And the fact is that those type of people still exist. And the problem is that guy that probably did that to you is probably a captain or a lieutenant somewhere now, and passing on that same mentality to younger officers, which is what the problem is. And like I said, when I was talking about vetting, if I go and say that, hey, JQ ain't got the right demeanor to do this job in this neighborhood, and then, Officer Butt Cheeks is like, no, that's exactly what we need, because we need to crack down these people. I'm out of the loop. So the only thing I can do is try to watch him and maybe prevent him from hurting somebody, but I'm not going to be able to be on that guy's back 24/7. And like I said,
Right.
what happened to you was dead wrong, because that's illegal. You can't strip search people.
Yeah, but they were doing that here. They were doing that here too back in the day.
Yeah.
And that was during that crack epidemic.
The 80s and 90s, dude. It was terrible.
Took off, and they wasn't trusting nothing. Been
And
there
I
too,
think-
Reese. Been there too.
And I think nowadays it's I think because of they're not vetting like TJ said, and it's so hard to get good people because of the pay. A lot of good officers are starting to do other things. You get these guys out here that have good intentions, but they've never been in a confrontation. They've never been in a fight. So
They only know what
when
their officers are telling them.
Right.
when they
Right.
see somebody and somebody gives them a little bit of pushback, their reaction is
Go get my
Snap.
The thing about that,
It's in that vest.
the George Floyd thing that really bothered me
My phone about to
is
die.
how that guy was just.
We're losing you, Brian. Oh, Mike's back though.
He's just talking, whatever. I had a young cadet when I was training people in the academy say something to me like, to the effect, like I was playing a bad guy, and he was sitting on me. I said, "Man, get off me! I can't breathe. If you're talking, you can breathe." So I stopped the scenario, and I said, "Are you a doctor?" He's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Are you a doctor?" He says, "No." I said, Why are you?" I said, "You're almost 300 pounds. You're sitting on my back, on the ground, on my chest, and I'm telling you that I can't breathe. And your reaction was, if you're talking, you can breathe."
Right. Losing Brian.
Yeah, super losing you a little
What do you
bit.
think? That's what that car is for. You put me in the car, and that's how you control me. I said, "I've taught you all these tactics. What you're doing right now is about to get yourself in a whole lot of trouble." And I can't go into everything I said to that dude, but it was a lot of and some, yeah. He came to the street for my department for about 2 weeks, and I'm like, y'all better get him off the street and put him in the jail. I mean, because I was like every day typing up stuff on this dude, like no.
Yeah, you said they put him in the jail.
Yeah, they put him in jail.
It's
Like
the deputy.
he's
They arrested the deputy.
working as a jailer.
Oh, dang. Oh, okay, I see. Okay.
Hey, who's that? Oh, look at this
What are you
cupcake
eating?
eating ass dude. Come in an hour late to the meeting. What's up, bruh?
With that
I like that
backlit.
background
Yeah.
NWA though.
What's up, Big Mike?
I didn't see that. That's nice. I don't think his audio's messed up. I think he didn't hear us yet. Oh, Reese, I muted you. There was some background noise.
Put that damn cupcake down. You can hear
What's
it.
up, Reese? What's up, Reese?
Reese muted.
Oh, he only gonna talk to Reese.
What's up, T? What's up, T? Will?
What's good, Big Mike?
He gonna talk to everybody else.
Hey, I'm up in this piece. What up, no?
Hey, don't be eating that biscuit like
What's up? What's up?
like.
What's up, Joe?
Like TJ. What's up?
Hey,
I don't know
don't
who
eat
these
that.
other. I don't know who these
Don't
other
eat
black
that muffin
ones
like-
are.
What do you
TJ was eating that ice cream.
Oh, he's all like her.
Bruh,
What do you guys think about the
biscuit eating ass?
Yeah, he's gonna savor it. What do you guys feel about this whole argument about defunding the police?
Let me
Hey,
dive
but
into that.
yeah,
Go ahead,
clarify.
TJ.
What does defunding mean?
It means
what I-
there's
that's
no
exactly
police
right.
force. No police
Go ahead,
force.
TJ.
So, go
What-
ahead, TJ.
What people want, they want the police department to be defunded. But that's not the problem. The problem is that law enforcement need more training, especially in cultural diversity. They need
Right.
more training, and we need a police database for corrupt officers who filed complaints against them. And so, with that database, it'll keep track on officers who done misbehaved, who done got in trouble, and so that'll prevent them officers from leaving that department and going to another department and doing the same thing that they did in the first department.
They track record.
So, wait, TJ, I'm gonna cut you off for a second. So, is it the union or is it something else? Because I know majority of police departments unions are so strong that and the union will fight for you forever. So, is that the reason that?
I would say it's not the union per se because the city still has to sign that contract with the union.
Yes.
So if the city signs that contract with the union, they're just as responsible. They're giving them that power.
So
But
you're-
the problem is that you're not vetting these people correctly. You're not doing the type of training that you need. And 600. Everybody gets caught up on this. They look in a book and it says 640 hours of training. But after that 640 hours of training, you still got to go through a interview process. And then once you get through the interview process, you got to go through a minimum of 3 months of FTO training. So, I mean, there's ample training. It ain't the same as a barbershop guy getting his hair cut. When people say that shit, they're dumb.
Well, here's
They
a
don't even
question
talk
for
about
you.
it.
So if we're going to compare training, I mean, maybe it's not just one solution. Obviously, it's probably not. It's a very big problem. Big problems don't only have just one solution.
Right.
I mean, United States. I mean, Some cities only require about 36 weeks of training. Not everywhere, so it's different jurisdictionally. And then other
Actually,
countries.
Hold on.
that's pretty standard, Joel.
What are you talking about,
The
Joe?
640 hours. It's either 640 hours or 720 hours of training. That's pretty standard across the board.
Yeah.
Yes. Just to get your post in Missouri.
In the Minneapolis Police Academy trains their soon-to-be officers for 16 weeks before they're assigned weapons, and then they spend 6 months paired with training officers. So still 16 weeks of training in the academy, and then they get a weapon. So that's bothering to me.
But you got to understand something. If you're giving somebody a weapon, they need to be familiar with it. You can't have them go 9 months without a gun and say, "Here you go, do the right thing with it." No, they got to know how to. They got to know when it's proper to use it, when it's how to retain it.
Okay,
all that stuff.
So here's an interesting. Some information I found. It's the hours of police training required in other countries compared to the United States. In Abu Dhabi and Dubai, they require around 4,500 hours of training. Finland requires a little bit more than that. No, around 4,500. They're about 4,500. India's 4,500 hours. Romania's 4,500 hours. Vietnam, 4,500 hours. Germany's 4,000 hours. Australia is 3,500 hours. England's 2,250 hours. Canada's 2,100 hours. New Zealand is 1,924. And the United States is about 652 hours.
Okay, so
is that? Do you think that? No, I want to point out something.
That's 187 days.
Yeah, I still want to point out though. In other countries, they're still experiencing the same kind of thing.
I know that's 187 days. 4,500 hours is 187 days, and you just said yourself that they go through 6 months of training with a field training officer. That's about the same.
Yes.
It just sounds different because you're putting in hours.
Okay.
Hours.
It sounds different.
Yes. That's all it is.
It sounds different. It's the
They
same
just
shit.
breaking down to hours versus
Okay.
days and months.
Okay.
And they might do more in field training, but you got to understand, like a lot of those police agencies, everybody doesn't carry a weapon.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't carry a gun.
That's true.
But
And
what are
some of those
what are the
places-
death rates?
Some
in
of those
countries?
places, some of those countries, people are walking down the streets with AK-47s and they ain't the cops.
Yeah, but the death rate
in
is
with machine guns. I mean,
those
really,
countries not that
they
high,
are.
they?
So I don't think we can compare our society to other countries because
Abu
other countries
Dhabi.
don't let people carry guns like we do.
Yeah, Abu
Hey, what
Dhabi
T-Will
doesn't
say?
have it. He's
What
asking
T-Will
about the
say?
death rates of other countries.
Yeah, what are the death rates of cops killing civilians? That's what I would want to know versus
Well,
them
it
carrying
depend-
a gun. I
it
would want to
depends
know
on-
that.
I
It
would
depends on
say
what
that
country.
I would say
yeah.
that probably by per capita we're probably still leading race in that.
We are.
But as
Right.
far as like,
But you got to
I
look
don't know
for
if you ever seen-
correlations, though,
have
right?
you ever seen Chinese people arrest somebody?
It's brutal.
Oh, they beat the hell out of
They
them.
beat them. They beat them with them
Cane.
cane stick things.
And like the way they treat their citizens is worse than what we do.
Well,
We
they're
do-
they're
Well,
a
that
military
depends.
Bad job, too.
ran country.
But it's way worse.
The,
Yeah.
the worst is the worst. One of the worst is Rio de Janeiro. If you ever get an opportunity to look up race relations in Rio de Janeiro, they have one of the highest rates. They might even be higher than us at this point.
Like a
Mhm.
percentage-wise,
It-
but not
Yeah, it's
quantity.
pretty. It's pretty horrendous. It's pretty horrendous.
Hey, this dude late,
Like-
he ain't even in the conversation.
I know, he walking away.
Yeah, he did.
He's
He
he's
had-
like,
he had-
he went for another biscuit. That's what he did.
I know.
he,
But he
He
what
had
kind
to
of
go
bitch?
drop
But
off
those
that
Fucking
Popeye
ass in there.
Those Popeye
Yeah, probably. Okay, so that was one thing. That's one thing that everyone's talking about is they're talking about the training and everything. And then other people like what Brian was saying is
Who's that?
vetting.
Who's Brian?
Soup.
Who's Brian?
My bad.
Oh, I know who that is.
Soup was saying about the vetting. So
Right.
vetting and training. So I mean, and then how? I mean, I guess I want to address that real quick before we go on to the next thing that everyone's saying that would be required in a reform situation, not defunding. But I mean, if you're going to vet and train, I mean, what would you do different?
Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna put the Missouri Highway Patrol out there as an example. Their application is like the FAFSA application. It's long, and if you put your 9 references, not 5, 9, and you make the cut, they're gonna go they're gonna send a cop personally to go interview those people, and they're gonna talk to people that know those people. And I don't care if you put somebody down that's in Hawaii, they're gonna go. That's how important it is for them to get the right people.
And they still don't get them.
They still mess up sometimes, but you don't hear about too many highway patrols in bad shoots. I mean, there's a few of them out there. I can find some, but it's hard because they know what the consequences are. They know what's on the line. They're making decent money in the academy. They're getting paid while they're in the academy. I mean, they get paid from Jump Street. They know what the goal is. So they do a very good job of vetting. I think Las Vegas PD does a really good job of vetting. I mean, there's a lot of them that do, but it just takes time. And like TJ said, they got to fill them suits. They got to put bodies in the car. So, and one thing that like what TJ touched on is when you say, you know, cultural training. I was fortunate enough to be able to go to Iowa and do some training with I did Hispanic Spanish for law enforcement. I did that training. It was a week long. I learned some words, learned how to tell people to put their hands behind the back, how to ask for their name and social security and all that stuff. But I went
Licencia.
I went back like a month later and took the cultural part of that same. It's part 2 of it. The cultural part. I learned more in the cultural part than I did with just to learn the language, because I learned that, you know, in Hispanic household, the male address the male first. You don't walk in the house and start talking to the lady. They look at that as disrespect. They talk with their hands a lot. They like to get close. They like to touch you. It's not because they're trying to disarm you. That's just their culture. I mean, and I learned a lot about, you know, how they interact with each other. And when I did interact with somebody after that, it was easier for me. I wasn't as on edge because I didn't know what they were saying. I was able to pick up on what they were saying because I knew more about their culture. I knew when they all came out there and they was talking to the little boy, that's who I need to pay attention to, because they're telling him the real story and they're telling him what to tell me. So I'm listening to him talk to them, and I was figuring out what they were saying. And once they figured out I knew just a little bit of Spanish, the whole picture changed. Like, oh, habla español, poquito. No, where's he at? Let's go do this. And that helped me a lot, though. I mean, and it was eye-opening to me to learn just about another culture that I didn't know about.
Does is in your guys' awareness, how many different departments go through that training? Does every department in the United States do it?
No.
How many do you? I mean, like say Minneapolis, New York, Chicago, California.
I volunteered. I picked that training to go to.
So that was entirely volunteer. That was not required.
I had to take a training, and I was able to pick one. And that's what I picked.
Okay.
You got to look at it, Joe, too, that bigger cities have bigger police department, which got bigger more funding coming their way.
But that funding also gets stretched a lot more because they have more police officers. And and
their police officers are more diverse in bigger cities.
And there are trainings that are required: domestic violence, racial profiling, and what's the other one, TJ? There's another one that you have to do.
Domestic violence, racial profiling, and mental.
Evaluation.
Something how to keep your head.
Your mental well-being.
It's like a WUSA class. Like, you know, keep your head, make sure you're talking to people, don't work when you're stressed, things like that.
Yes.
But I can tell you right now, the racial profiling class is a joke.
Is it?
I had that dude tell me that I can't racial profile people because I'm black. And I said, how's that possible? And he said, statistically, you can't racial profile people. And I was like, okay. I work in a predominantly white area, and 90% of the people I pull over are white. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I do profile them. And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "If I see a car pulling off a dirt road with a mismatched door, I'm pulling that son of a bitch over. I'm gonna find a reason." And 90% of the time, I found something, you know. And then once I got to know the players, yes, I was profiling people but profiling is part of policing.
Yes, and I
But
agree 100%.
the part that me and TJ was just talking about this is community policing. Because if I'm in that community a lot and people see my face and they don't want that stuff in their neighborhood, they're gonna be more likely to talk to me when they see me getting the bad people out of their neighborhood. And
Well, don't profile me.
I'm actually interacting with them. I'm like, "Hey, you know, how you doing? I'm Deputy Campbell, blah, 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 blah. You know, I just been noticing that this car oh yeah, this car goes up and down this road all the time. I don't know where they're coming from. And this house down here, you know, around the corner, they got all this stuff going on, da, da, da." Okay. So, and then I do something about it. Then I come back and follow up with that person and say, "Hey, you know what? I appreciate you giving that information. We did find this, this, and this, and that person's been arrested. So hopefully you won't see all this traffic in your neighborhood no more." So now they're like, "Okay, this guy actually gives a damn about my neighborhood. Even though he don't live here, you know, he gives a damn." But here's the problem with a lot of these bigger departments. They hire people that don't live there. So
Exactly.
they come in and they do their 8 hours and they go home. I'm like, "I ain't staying in this hellhole. I'm getting out of here. I don't care about that."
Right.
Them cops that was working in Ferguson, they don't live in Ferguson.
Nope.
They don't live nowhere near Ferguson.
So JQ, Reese, T Will, Big Mike, explain that to me. If you have officers that work in a community and they don't stay in that community, how you expect to bridge that gap?
See in St. Louis, it's in St. Louis City. In order for you to be a St. Louis City officer, you have to live in St. Louis City. But
not no more.
That was a recent thing, Reese. That was a recent thing they did.
No more, Reese.
They changed that.
Yeah.
They changed. I didn't realize they changed that.
They was offering you money to stay in the city and a free place.
Yeah.
Right. But you, I mean, if you don't live in that community, you don't really care about that community, and you can't build any rapport with the people in that community, because they kind of look at you like an outsider, you know, because they haven't grown up with you, they don't know you, and
I mean, not even I don't feel like you have to grow up with somebody to get to know them. I mean, the thing about it is, if you're not vested in that community, how can you want to make a change in it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think it'd be hard for me if I was to be a police officer around here in my community, knowing that it's predominantly white, and I would be the only person, maybe one or two or three, but it's predominantly with the higher ups that are white, that I'd feel a lot different. Like I would have to act a certain way. I'd have to do things a certain way instead of, maybe like, talking to the guys I know, like, "Man, mate, let's just calm down and get this together, man. I'm here to help you." You know what I mean? It's kind of, right. I would feel a little weird, because then they'll be looking at me like, "Man, you doing a little too soft, man. Will, you too soft, man. You gotta," but I know these guys, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? If I ain't got to do it, you know what I'm saying?
You know what?
Y'all do it that's why they mad at us right now. You know what I'm saying? So I would be like, "Man, I'm a cop and all, but I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it here, knowing the higher ups are not me."
Here's where you would excel though, because if they your boys and they for real like that. "Oh man, if you pull me over, would you take me to jail?" I'm like, "Don't put me in that situation."
Yes.
Right.
It's that simple. Don't put me in that situation. If you out drinking somewhere, call me. I'll come get you.
Yeah.
Don't put me in that situation, because if you my boy, you're not gonna put me in that situation, because I'm not gonna let you get in that situation, because I'm telling you I'm gonna come give you a ride if you need it.
But that's just the whole community, though.
Before you get into some bullshit, call me. Let me talk to you. Let me see if we can find another way out of this, instead of you trying to go do something dumb.
But that's just exempting the boys too, though. I'm not saying like my homeboys. I'm just saying the whole community, because I know a lot of people.
That's it as a whole, though.
I feel weird. That's just my opinion.
But T Will.
Yeah.
I understand your opinion, and it's very valid. But if you're a good person, T Will, that would take care of itself. That would trust me, brother. That would take care of. If you're a good person and you're a good cop and you're doing your job, all that would take care of itself, bro. Like I give a prime example. I don't tell nobody this, but sometimes I'm on patrol. I guess I'm about to tell you now. But sometimes I'm on patrol, and I see kids playing in the street. I pull up beside them and say, "Hey, you hungry? Y'all hungry?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah." So I leave and go to McDonald's, get chicken sandwich, come back, pass it to them. Only thing I ask them, don't put me on video doing this. I'm not trying to do this for clout. Don't put me on video. And let me know if one of y'all allergic to an allergy or something like this, because I don't want your parents getting in my butt box. I've done this several times. I pass off Gatorade to kids. I see them in the street. No matter what skin color, they black or white, I give it to them, you know. And they just ask me, what's my name? And I give my name. And then I tell them, they have a nice day. Stay out of trouble. Be safe.
Big Mike.
Yeah.
So I miss.
But I don't go around
I-
broadcasting and telling people I do that.
Big Mike.
Right.
Can you catch up, Mustard?
Yeah.
What you
Yeah,
been doing? So we talked about
really.
about
Y'all hear
Yes,
how
talking
COVID affected all of
A
us.
little bit.
And apparently you went into a goddamn coma because you can't wake up on time. Is that what happened for you in COVID?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there's
hear
a
you.
little bit of a delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hell of a delay.
So tell us what you've been doing since you've been in quarantine, bro.
Man, I thought we was talking about the police, bro.
Well, you missed
All
the
right,
first
talk about the
topic.
police, man. Go
All
ahead.
right, what do you want to say about the police? You said you had something you wanted to say.
He missed that boat. He missed that boat.
Well, I'm behind on that, but if you saying that you should have some a police officer that's from that community, don't you, when you get in the police force, you don't get to choose what community you work in, do you? You get assigned to another. You get assigned, don't you? Or
No,
you get
I
to,
mean,
All that is
you
your
get to
community.
choose what city.
You just get assigned zones.
if you go work, if you go to work
So hold on. So you know Mississippi and your town is bad. Why you ain't a police officer in Mississippi to help it out?
No, I'm explaining it to you because I came to Lincoln University. I graduated at Lincoln University, and I like Jeff City, so I decided to stay up here and make a living,
and became part of that community.
and became part of this community.
Right.
As of now, this is my community, not the one in Mississippi.
But your community in Mississippi is hurting harder. It's hurting. It's worse than this.
But you missing the point.
He missed the whole point.
It's not about you trying to go back home to take care of stuff.
That's what I'm trying to catch up at. So what's it about?
Okay, so when you decide to be a police officer, most people decide to be a police officer where they live. Some are drawn by money. Now, if you're drawn by money, you probably live in South County, but you're gonna go work in Ferguson because they need officers, and you
Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
you experience, so they're like, the Ferguson Police Department is like, hey, you got some experience, even though you don't live here. I know you live in South County. South County's not hiring. We're gonna give you $55,000 to come work here because you got some experience. He's like, oh yeah. He's thinking to myself, yeah, I gotta make a 30-minute commute, but it's cool. I'm making good money. So
I got you.
yeah, that's where that comes in at. But most people, like myself and like TJ, we didn't come from here. We came here, decided we like it. We had a like for law enforcement. Like, hey, this seems like a good place to be. I know some people around here. This is part of my community, so I'm gonna do it here. And that's what you don't have when you have these cops basically commuting in from other towns, and they're leaving. They're like, I ain't got to be in this hellhole, so I can go here and do whatever kind of havoc I want to. I'm gonna go somewhere else. They don't even know where I live. But
Yeah. So
the accountability part for me is like TJ said, the database, and you not being able to go and do some bullshit in one department and get fired or get asked to leave, and then you go to the next community, still not your own. You're gonna go somewhere else and do the same bullshit. Then you're gonna get screwed up there, and then go to another one. And then
Need your own track record.
10 jurisdictions later, you finally fucked up bad enough that they decide to put your ass in jail.
Right.
That's bullshit. Because if Joel is doing bad IT work at one place and royally screws something up, that follows him everywhere.
Just to clarify, I don't do IT. Mike does IT.
I'm just saying,
I'm
man.
just- screw IT work.
He's offended by that.
I do design and motion
Well,
graphics.
you make a bad design. My bad.
Yeah, there we go.
But, hey,
But I mean, but with every other profession, it follows you,
Yeah.
except in policing. And what y'all, I'm sure y'all have heard the word qualified immunity a lot.
Actually, I have not.
Well, what qualified immunity, and a lot of people is trying to, I do want to touch on this a little bit, because a lot of people's like, why ain't they, if I shoot somebody in the street, I go to jail immediately. Yes, you do. It is assumed that the officer is doing what he did in good faith, that he had a reason to shoot that person, or had a reason to kill that person, or had a reason or whatever. So what usually happens is they come out to the scene, just like they did. They showed the video at the Wendy's guy. He was like, "You good? You all right? You call your wife?" And everybody's like, "Man, why he do that? He supposed to be mad." No, that's his job. His job is to say, "Okay, I need to get the information from you. We're not going to do it this second. Just want to make sure you're good. You good? You good? Your head's right? Okay." So then he goes back and looks at the information. They're like, "Uh-oh, you messed up." So then they call him in and go, "Hey, man, we got to fire you and don't leave town." People don't know that. When they put you on administrative leave, they do that for a reason, because they can call you at any time and say, "Hey, we need to go take a piss test. Hey, we need you to go do this. Hey, we need to go do that. You need to go talk to this person. You need to go talk to that person." And if you say no, are you quitting your job? No. Okay, then go do what I told you.
Yeah.
Have a little bit of
So
control.
why do they still get paid? And then
I just told you. I just told
That's what I
you.
was gonna say.
I just
was
told
about to
you.
answer that question.
I just told you.
Okay.
Right. The reason why they still get paid while on administrative leave, because when like Soup just said, if the department calls you to come in and do this, you will do this, or you're gonna get fired, because they pay you,
Right.
and that's part of your duty.
Right.
Or
So
if
you're
they
still
want you to go
technically
see
on
a
duty.
psych, if they
Right.
want you to go see a psychologist, you're gonna go do that. Or
Right.
if they want to call you in and say, "You know what, come in, we need to talk to you," you know, we're paying you, so you're obligated to do this. Now, if we weren't paying you, like,
Because that's why you find out a lot of them, they'll say, "Well, I resigned." It's because they lawyered up and they didn't want to answer no questions. That's usually what that is. I mean, they might call you. They might call you in and be like, "Hey, we need to see your bank statements. We heard you was getting paid by somebody."
What-
I mean, they can ask you anything.
what a lot of people don't understand on administrative leave, y'all might see that officer getting paid, but he's about to go through some shit.
Yeah.
He's about to go through some shit, and it's gonna be life changing, depending on what he have done, because stuff gonna come out to his family, and they was unaware that he have done. It's a Pandora's box when that happens.
Yeah, but why don't they ever show all the bad shit that the cops done in his career or whatever? But as soon as he kills a black guy or whoever he kills, they bring up all the bad shit.
That's your
That's what the
propaganda.
guy done done.
That's the propaganda news, man.
It's not really the propaganda. It's part of that qualified immunity.
Yeah. So
they can't really divulge what he's done because of that qualified immunity and because of the stuff that he has in place with his union.
Yeah.
But everything bad that George Floyd done or whoever, it's all public information.
Yeah, but that's steering the narrative to some shit that's like,
but it's public information.
Face.
Yeah,
Right.
and
You
it
know?
was like a lot of like stations. I mean, like I'll name them: MSNBC and Fox News. Those are not news stations; they're propaganda stations. Because what they do is they're not required to actually tell you the news. They're required to tell you what they want you to know.
Talking points.
They're talking points.
Just like a lawyer in court.
Exactly
lawyer in
like a lawyer in court.
The lawyer in court is the only person that don't raise their right hand and swear to tell the truth. The lawyer is the only person that don't do that.
Yeah. So I mean,
the lawyer's not the only. He's not the only person. You don't do that.
Every news station you have. So it's interesting. So back in the day when the airwaves and the radio or the TV stations were actually controlled by government, the government required every station to have a news segment, and that news segment had to have balanced, equal. What's the word I'm looking for? The way they just showed the information. They could not pick a side. Basically, they couldn't say
unbiased.
Yeah, they had to be unbiased. as soon as cable TV came around, then they were able to buy their own stations, and they were not required to fulfill that obligation to the government. Not saying that an obligation to the government is always better, but the obligation was gone. So then they could say, all we have to do is say what we want to say, and it doesn't matter if we're wrong, as long as we're wrong in the right way, which means they are literally intentionally feeding you information that's incorrect to persuade you to believe the way they
10
do.
episodes ago when I talked about contrast.
I know, it's terrible. It's terrible. But the point you're saying, Ty, is why aren't they showing the stuff the cops been in charge? Eventually they do. They go, oh my gosh, this guy has been 13 reports on him where he went up to a superior officer.
And that's usually because the family has gotten a lawyer, and the lawyer says, I need to see all that guy's stuff.
Yeah.
And then they drag their feet, and the longer they drag their feet, the more that lawyer's going to make them look bad.
But
so
unfortunately,
now these departments are saying, oh, crap, if this dude jacked up, we're going to turn over his records like right now because that chief or that sheriff don't want to look bad.
But then the unions are going to get into that, though.
We need a police database.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that for a lot of reasons. Like you said, it's like your report card that follows you, and that I think that should be something that they should implement for every cop.
And that's going to be hard to get because the unions who are paying to prevent that from once it goes into a report, it's sunshineable. Well, that's the problem, though. I mean, like the unions are, the unions are pouring money into legislation. There's no way they're not. They're paying their representatives and their legislators. They have lobbyists and legislators. So with that happening, they're going to be like, no, we have to protect our own. They're not going to turn around and say, hey, guys, we're going to do this now.
Report card's a bad idea.
Report card? No. What are you talking about?
Go ahead, Mike. Why?
Well, it's a bad idea, bro. Because people change, bro. You bring up their past. I don't think it's a good idea.
Okay, no. I think so. A person changing, there's going to be a break within their incident.
But he killed somebody, and he's saying that he can change from killing somebody.
But what you know? What do you know? If the police officer that didn't kill somebody? Are you talking about a report card for police officers?
No.
Them?
We're talking.
No, he wasn't meaning like that.
But I think the point is that if you have something, I'm not saying like every incident that you ever do to be put on record. Every time you throw somebody on the ground, everything, it's the bad stuff. If you put somebody in the hospital unnecessarily, if you use excessive force and cause somebody the dude they body slammed and broke his arm, and they would have had the wrong person.
They shoot a kid with a cell phone in his hand.
His permanent record. He didn't even ask that guy his name before he told him he had
walked up and body slammed.
Picked him up and body slammed him and broke his arm.
Yep.
Didn't even render him no aid. That needs to be reported.
So that should be something that's kept for the police.
Yeah.
That should be something that's kept on a database to say he had this incident. This is what we did about it, and that's where he's at.
So I think what you guys are saying.
The thing about it is because if you don't have that type of transparency, I don't know what kind of person is patrolling my neighborhood.
Well,
I just don't know.
Well, it goes both ways too. So do you remember Tamir Rice, the kid in Ohio?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who so remember the officer failed his mental evaluation, but he was still allowed to be a police officer. And then when he did what he did, when he killed Tamir Rice, and then a few months later, he was allowed to go to another police department and work. And then he failed that mental evaluation, and then they kicked him off the force.
But that's what I'm saying. So I mean, it's just if he didn't have that notoriety and it wasn't put in the media like that, nobody probably would have ever known.
Yeah.
And now that everybody has a camera, it's a lot easier to put that stuff out on blast.
Yeah, but it's still
like I said,
easy.
And TJ would tell you this. I know for me, I held myself to a higher standard. I'm not. Once I put on that badge and I carry a gun, and they're giving me the ability to take somebody's freedom away, I have to be better than the average citizen. I have to think
Yep.
differently than the average
Yep.
person. I have to react differently than the average person. And I'm gonna tell you right now, America, a peace officer's peace cannot be disturbed.
Be disturbed.
So if you tell a cop fuck you, he just has to have a nice day because his peace
Yeah.
cannot be disturbed.
Right.
Don't let
But that's
nobody tell you
not-
that bullshit because it's a lie.
But that's Brian. But you know that's not 100% true. I mean,
That's
it's,
100% true.
It's
Well, no.
100% true, Rick.
Wait. I'm sorry.
On some.
It's true. The saying is true, but not everybody reacts the same. You understand
What
what
I'm
saying?
telling you is if you tell a cop to fuck off and you haven't broken a law and he tries to take you to jail for that, you got a lawsuit and you're gonna win a lot of money
Yeah.
because that is not legal.
So
It's
go ahead, Reese.
no. Go ahead. You good?
No. I'm getting ready to transition because we're running a little bit low on time. But go ahead, make your point.
No. All I was saying is, I understand the sentiment. I understand what you're saying.
That's the
but
law.
You,
It's not a sentiment, it's the law.
well,
That's the law.
But you've seen multiple times where just say
And it was
somebody
wrong.
flip off a cop.
And it was
You're
wrong.
Right.
Yeah, what
Right.
you're saying, Reese, is cops have worked
That
on
too.
emotion on that stuff.
Violent.
Yeah.
But they got sued. But that's what happens.
Sometimes. But go ahead. We can move on.
Yeah.
But the big thing is people don't know that, Reese, so that's why you don't see them reacting correctly.
I know where
No,
Reese is coming
you're
from.
right.
I know Reese
No,
where
you're
Reese is
right.
coming from. Reese is gonna say he flips off and says "F you" to a cop. Cop pulls him over, and the cop's like, he did a bunch of other stuff that was illegal, and
Well,
he
you
starts
know,
making up stuff.
That's fine and
That
dandy.
happens too. Everyone knows that happens.
That's fine and
Yeah.
dandy. Make it all up because that's when you gotta know. Yes, when you gotta know your rights and know.
No,
if you
you're
go-
right.
If you choose to flip a cop off, you better be rolling your tape.
Right.
Yep. So I do want to hit on one last thing before we go because we're over an hour already. But
Damn.
so yeah, no, we get some good topics in. With the amount
Reese
of
disappeared.
video that has been
No.
that has
Blacker
been
than a
produced, because as Will Smith said recently, is racism isn't getting worse; it's just being filmed.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So with the amount of video that has been getting surfaced of, racial
didn't help.
violence from police officers and pedestrians against each other, like I keep thinking of that one video. I think who was it that shared it? But it was like this family in a car, and this lady was just standing in front of the car, going like, "How'd you get this car?" It's like, "It's my car."
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
she got a
Oh,
bunch of
yeah.
other people attacking the car, kicking the car, slamming their bikes
Oh,
in the
yeah, I
car,
saw
while
that.
this guy's kids are in the
I
back
think
seat.
TJ said
They
that
even
one.
opened the door.
Tried to pull him out of the car. But I mean, like, so people will still see, people will ignore these videos and still say we don't have a race problem.
Right.
And I
And it's
think
blatantly in their face.
it's blatantly in their face. Well, sometimes it's
And
all around them, and they just ignore.
Mhm.
They just decide not to look at it.
Do I got to give my analogy?
What
Can I
happened to
please
Mike?
give my
Joe,
analogy?
he's trying to give her the car.
We lost Mike.
One of the guys, Joe, he was trying to give her the car. Say, "This is her car."
We
Like,
lost
no,
Mike
it's
before he came.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
So-
look. So let me before you speak, Brian. Let me throw this out here. Do you really care about things that don't affect you or don't affect your way of living?
you
and then
should.
you can go, BC.
You should,
I do.
because it will
You
affect you in the
should.
future.
I do.
You should.
Reese,
I mean,
you need to find a light.
Not. I know. These. If I turn this light on outside, then I'm gonna have a million bugs on me.
No, I understand.
And you I'm sure you
Zimbabwe.
heard my analogy. I feel like racism in this country is like outer space. People know outer space exists. They see the moon, they see the stars, they see all up there like, oh, it's cool, it looks fine, nothing's wrong with it. Then bam, an asteroid hits the earth and tears up somebody's house. And it's like, man, I can't believe the asteroid came down. That sucks. Then a bigger asteroid comes down and causes a tidal wave and tears up a lot of stuff. So now they're like, damn, should we be paying attention to this space stuff? So now they're like, okay, maybe we ought to talk to a few astronauts. Who knows about space? Well, there's a space program. There's all these people that's gone up there and telling you, hey, It's bad up there in space. There's a lot of bad stuff up there. You can't. There's no air. There's a special suit you got to wear. There's all these kind of things you got to do to prevent from being hurt in space. So now what's happened is George Floyd is the asteroid that has hit the Earth, and now everybody wants to know about space. So then they start talking to astronauts who've been living in space, and they're like, "Oh yeah, man, it's been bad for a long time." And they're like, "Damn, but it looks cool from down here. You got a moon and stars and stuff. I would love to be up there." No, you don't want to be up there. That's why we're trying to get down here to where you are, so we can look back in space and say, "Hey, you know what? That's some place that we used to be, but now we're all down here on Earth."
You're far removed.
That's what needs to happen. Everybody needs to understand this is our Earth. Everybody's there, living here together. And the sooner they get that through their heads, the better off they'll be.
The better off everybody would be.
Hey, and to pick it back off, Soup, and I know we not talked about this in the past, about all lives matter. And that's true. All lives do matter. Blue lives matter. But we're not talking about them. We're talking about Black lives matter.
Yeah.
It's just like a husband asks his wife, "Do you love me?" And she said, "Honey, I love everybody." You got a problem. You got a problem.
Dead giveaway.
That's my favorite analogy of
we
all
talking
that.
about us.
I love that.
Right.
I've heard the surgeon
It's in
analogy,
the
but that
Bible,
one's
too.
great.
It's in the
But
Bible
that's
too.
real talk, though. That's real.
Jesus was
Yeah.
in the desert, and he had 100 sheep, and one went off. And he told the sheep, "I'm gonna go look for that sheep." And the other 99 said, "What about us?" They said, "You ain't the one in danger. I gotta go find him. That's the one that's in
Right.
danger."
Yeah.
Yep.
Not
Y'all
all
good.
sheep matter. That's the one that's in danger right now.
That's another excellent analogy.
Mhm.
That's
And
another thing
that's
that
in the
bothers the hell
Bible.
out of me.
That's in the Bible, people.
Another thing that bothers the hell out of me is being, as a person, I grew up in the church. I consider myself a Christian. I mean, I go to church. I'm actually a deacon. But
Deacon Jake too.
yeah, that's me. But the fact that people will try to take things from the Old Testament, which is there for a reason, but is not necessarily meant to be a description of how to live, and use that as an example of the bloodiest parts of the Bible, and ignore the New Testament, where Jesus is like, you're using the Jesus example. Jesus is like, turn the other cheek. You know, one of his disciples cut off the ear of a soldier who was trying to arrest him, and he healed the soldier and rebuked his disciple. And I'm just like, why are you guys ignoring this and only using the Bible to justify your violence when it doesn't? It doesn't do it. It bothers the hell
Doesn't
out
add
of me.
up.
That's what it's been used for 400 years.
I know. It's
So,
because people use it and they turn it into a piece of hate that they can use to manifest the anger in other people for a terrible cause, and it's not what it's there for. It's not at all. It
reason
bothers
to
the hell out of me.
disappear.
But yeah,
Yeah, it sucks, man.
it's horrible.
Really does.
Yeah.
Mike,
But I can tell you this:
You need to say
I've
something,
seen,
man.
I've
You've
seen
been-
a change in the world, because now when we're sitting here protesting and standing up for what we believed in and what we've known all along, now everybody that is not like our color is standing against with us, and they're protesting, and they're seeing all these things happening and what's going on, and they're tired and they're sick and tired of it, and they're ready
Yeah.
to do something about it.
I do
So,
want to say one thing
I
about
see
that.
change.
I want to say one thing about that because I have some of my friends who are white who have been, voicing support on social media or whatever. And I was talking to
Right.
one of them the other week, and he was a black woman called him out. I guess she said, "You don't speak for me" or whatever. And he was like, he clammed up after that, and he was like, "I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should speak out or whatever." And I've been thinking about it a lot, and what I told him at the time was like, just ask her, let me know when you need my help, kind of thing. But then everyone's been going on to this white savior situation. We can't have white saviors. White people shouldn't help out. And I'm like, we're in a battle. And if you're in a battle, when you win, the victory is everyone's. But right now, the black people need to be the generals because it has to be their victory. That way, the glory goes to them when it happens. You know what? Is that off, or is that, because that's what I've been feeling with
I
it.
think you're on the right track, but the thing about it is, we don't have the population or the power to be the change.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You guys are the generals. You're the ones telling us how to, where you need
the
help.
majority has to step up and say,
Yeah.
we did wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
Mississippi's about to change their flag. Y'all hear about that?
Yeah, I did. That was.
Yeah.
I'd be interested
Who?
to see what they replace
You
it
know
with.
why, right?
Mississippi.
Oh,
That's
hold up.
football
Who's about
player.
to change their flag?
Mississippi.
The football
Mississippi.
player.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. I believe
the
it when I
football-
see it.
That's
The
what I'm
football
with you,
player-
Mike.
right? You know
I'm with
why,
you,
right?
Mike. They passed legislation. The legislation
Yeah.
passed. I
Yeah.
want to see it though.
That-
The Republican Mississippi did this too. You know why, right? It's all about money, man. It's all
Oh, yeah.
about money. They was gonna lose
that
a lot
football
of
player
funding.
said that football player said that he wasn't gonna play. I mean, that had something to do with it. That wasn't
No,
that.
Reese. SEC told Mississippi State and Ole Miss, until you change that flag on there, y'all will be defunded from y'all colleges. Y'all not allowed to participate in any sports
Okay.
until that flag
I
is changed.
did read that. Same thing with the NBA and the LBGQ.
So they
When
paint
they
the
wa-
face. So they paint the face, but they still gonna be what they gonna be.
Yeah, it's a
You right.
step.
That's an
It's a
insane
step.
Yeah.
That's
And
all
and,
it
and,
is.
and
Yeah.
somebody said something. We can't slap the hand. We can't slap the hand down when they're reaching out. Can't
Yeah,
slap the
no,
hand down.
no.
You're going to be
You gotta-
upset because you know that.
you gotta take it because for a long time there was no hand. It was just a
No.
stick.
Mike,
Yeah.
you're upset that
Get back,
they're
get
doing
back.
it just because they're being made to do it. But you need to be happy in the victory that the SEC made them do it. That's a
Right.
huge
Yeah,
organization. That's a
it's
victory.
a small victory, but we got to
You
take
ain't
the
gotta be
victory.
happy,
Yeah.
Mike. You just gotta be accepted.
Again, like TJ say, it's money. It ain't nothing changed there. They
But
all
that's
about
the
money,
only thing
and they want
that's
to
the only
play.
thing that changed the world anyway.
You know that's how you get that somebody you hurt that pocket.
You hurt pockets, right?
You have to make them uncomfortable. If they're, and I'm not saying do it in a bad way. I'm just saying
Right.
they
But
have
the
to be
shit's
out of their
still
comfort
going
zone
down
if they're
there.
going to change. That's the
I
only
believe
reason
it
they
when
will
I
change.
see it. I
So,
believe
Mike,
when
you
I
was-
go back to Mississippi and see that it's changed in the environment, I believe it then. But
So, Mike,
I go to Mississippi and I see how it is in my dad's
you
town.
lived in California, KC, your family from
He
Mississippi.
lived in Vegas.
How was it for you growing up with police and whatnot?
Me and my daddy from the same city.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of different stuff, bro. I've lived overseas, and I've also came. I mean, to me, it helped my personality a lot and things, and how to get out situations and stuff, and how to think and stuff. Personally, for me,
Right.
but everybody don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Like say, I lived overseas when I came back from here. When I came back from overseas, there was a lot of gangs was going on then, Crips and Bloods, hard, right? So, a lot. I seen a lot, but like I say,
I know Reese said, he still get, a little nervous when a cop gets behind him, even when he did nothing wrong, and that's terrible.
Yeah.
That he has to feel that way.
Oh yeah, hold on.
I don't think it's. I think it's because I've been on both sides of the line. I know what can and can't happen, and I feel like I can talk my way out of that situation if I need to. And I think that's all it is.
I got in that mode from Kansas City though. I'm saying way with Reese. A cop come down. I'm like, I'm either trying to get off that street or go in the opposite direction. I ain't trying to mess with them.
You drawing attention.
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
KC
I don't want them.
crazy.
I ain't trying to get them to mess with me.
Hey, we'd be on the highway. I'm driving home. The whole I-70 doing 67. I'm like, what are they doing?
Behind the cop.
I go
Yeah.
past everybody, and I look over at the cop. I'm like, hey, buddy, keep on rolling. The speed limit's 70. I ain't playing with you.
Reese,
I
are
dare
you
you to pull me over.
Reese,
I
are you
dare
shooting
to
a
pull
Blair
me
Witch project? What's going on over here?
But tell us, Brian. Do the cops
He
love
said
that?
Reese is
Do
shooting
they-
a Blair
do they-
Witch project.
Do they love that? Do you love when nobody would pass y'all
There
when
you
y'all
go.
drive down the street?
Hey, I just think it's funny. I think it's funny.
Okay, so I've seen cops
So-
driving like
If I'm
65
doing
down the
65,
highway.
if I'm
and-
doing 65 in the slow lane and you refuse to pass me, that's on you.
I pass.
So hold on.
Pass.
So are there any people that's just waiting for you to pass them and they pull you over? Has there any?
Uh,
Have you ever?
I have seen cops do that, and I think I think cops sitting at the bottom of a hill running radar is bullshit. Come
Yeah.
on,
Speed traps.
come on, man.
Yep.
That's how they get their
You
funding,
gotcha.
man. Get some extra funding.
Well,
Yeah.
sheriff's department don't get any funding off writing tickets.
Or the
That money
state.
all goes to the state.
No, it go to the municipality. State don't get nothing from that. They go straight to JC.
Oh, not the sheriff's
So is
department.
that
We
what
write
they
state
is that
tickets.
is that what they call a quota when they try to get their
No.
quota off speeding
There's,
ticket?
there's not a
Munis-
quota.
Municipalities, they get their own money. They write tickets, they get their own money. That's why they have a traffic unit,
Oh.
and it's like 6 of them.
Well, man.
Oh,
we're
I got a
at-
question, BC.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Would now that everything is the way it is right now, would you ever go back into law enforcement
absolutely. As a trainer,
as
I
a
would
trainer?
love to. I would love to. I'm actually writing a book, y'all. One of these days when I decide to type, it's gonna be out.
You have been writing that book for a
I
long
got like
time.
Yep.
I've been working on it for about 2 years. It's called Pieces of a Peace Officer, and it just goes into what exactly we've been talking about: the relationship between the community and police, and how police officers view the community and how the community view the police. I'm trying to give them some insight on both sides because I've been
Right.
there. And I think it's a good read. I just hate to type, and I'm sorry it's taking so long.
Right. Don't
somebody.
give out too
You do
much
like the
information.
chicken
Somebody gonna
like
steal
stuff
your idea.
It's on tape.
Yeah.
They steal my idea. They getting sued, Jack.
Copyright. Fellas Forum.
We're gonna rename it.
Right.
JQ, we need to wrap it up. We've been out here for like an hour and 15.
Hour 26 minutes so far.
Mike, you ain't said shit.
Well, Mike
Right.
came in late, and then he had
You was eating a
biscuit.
biscuit or something. What was you eating, man? What was you
How
eating?
about this?
A what?
Cinnamon
We
roll.
get
That's
cinnamon.
pretty good too. That
Right.
sounds great.
Hey, you can't help us out.
I wasn't eating no ice cream, that's for sure.
Hey, what are you talking about?
Backwards spoon out here.
Lift the spoon. What, TJ, what you drinking? Some eggnog?
Oh gosh, that stuff's so
No, my
nasty.
girl made me a shake.
He got. Hey, at least he got the ice cream in a different form this time.
Yeah.
All
right.
That's how you gotta have all your ice cream now, in the form of a shake. Don't ever eat ice cream on camera again, ever.
Bruh, I got my cake and eating it too.
Okay.
Hey, man, I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell y'all. I
Reese,
did
bro, I
miss
can't
this
see you
though,
no more.
man.
Yeah, he's
Uh-oh.
gone.
Missed the talk.
Gone.
What midnight go?
Gone. Say hi.
Well,
Midnight, where you go?
bye.
I
My
can't
girls
see
just
no
went to
more,
bed.
man.
They're all right.
Hey Joe, tell them where they can find us.
Yeah, we're gonna be on Facebook, obviously, and YouTube is like we always have been. I am looking into and probably will get us set up with Apple Podcasts soon, so you can download us and listen to us in the car
Definitely.
whenever you want. So I'm not gonna put that out there yet, like the link, but when we do, I will have it out there on Facebook and probably a link in the description of the videos when it's ready. So
when we next segment, I'm gonna give y'all a little teaser. We're gonna have This Week in Black History from Maurice. That's your assignment. Yeah, for real. I mean,
That sounds
seriously,
good.
I think we need to address some of that, and I plan on giving a little bit of lesson on the Confederate flag. So I don't think people really know what it means.
And the removal of the statue. Let's cover
yeah,
it too.
we need to talk about that. And
We're gonna
there's
talk
a lot
about those
of
things.
lot of
Why
hot tempers
it's
about
important and why and what's a good solution on that, because
Yeah.
I personally don't feel like tearing them down is helping anything.
I don't think
My
destroying them
phone's
is
about to
helping.
die.
It would mean more to me if the state removed them themselves.
It would.
My phone
But
about
we're
to
gonna get
die.
into that on the next segment. Save it.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about right
And
now.
hopefully next time we can see Reese.
Yeah. Hopefully we can
Hey.
see Reese.
Yeah,
I don't
next
think that's
time.
Reese. Reese, you got shorter, man.
That's Damani.
It's
Damani.
Damani.
You
Damani.
can't
Damani.
see nobody.
That
What's
dude
up?
is camouflage.
Reese camouflage.
Hey, Damani, can you send us? Can you do us a send off?
say this is Fellas Forum. See you later.
Can you do that? Give us a
Say
send off.
Say this is Fellas Forum. See you later. Oh man, you whack.
Uh,
Hey, hey, Damani, I see you on Call of Duty night, bruh. Get that Call of Duty.
Hey, Damani, who's the best football team?
Who's the best football team?
Yeah.
What did he say?
The Chiefs. You the
It's
man.
been 50 years.
that was some dirty shit, Joe. That was some dirty shit.
All right. We're
See
going.
y'all. See y'all.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.